And now, the Mystic Hour with Mystic Black and Nick Marcus.
We back, baby. And we are back. I know we've been gone for a week. Sometimes you got to take some time off, refresh the mind, just calm down and just come back with a different kind of energy. But we're back. Welcome back to the Mystic Hour, episode 14. Nick, what's up, brother? We talk every day, but like I haven't seen your face in a long time. You look different. Your eyes look blue. Your glasses are different. You're a different person.
This is 30 now, man. I realized that I have issues with my sight and I actually now have to wear glasses, but I'm okay with that because as long as it's not contact, I'm very finicky when it comes to my eyes. So no contacts for me. I'll wear glasses gladly if I have to. So, but it's crazy. I mean, everything's like in 4K now. It's nuts.
That's good. I've been having to wear glasses since I was in middle school. Middle school. But they always offered me contacts. I'm like, I'm not touching my eye. That's not happening. People make fun of me. He's like, why are you still wearing glasses? Let's get contacts. I'm good. Oh, just get LASIK. No, I'm not putting lasers in my eye and go away for that.
I'm okay.
So watch them detach my retina and then put it. No, I'm not doing any of that. So
nope. I've had bad experiences with my eyes, and even when we watch these fights and I see an eye poke, like I have to look away. I've seen like some nasty, obviously some hits. I remember Lawler's lips splitting when he fought McDonald. That didn't even bother me. But whenever I see an eye poke, I'm like, oh.
It's the worst. I talked to Nick Lenz, who actually lives in my my community. I saw his eye after he got eye poked. My Lord, he had some problems seeing below and seeing and looking up. He said he couldn't even see his kids looking down from an eye poke, just from one eye poke. So I can definitely understand that. I wish fighters can fight with the basketball shades. You know how they wear the glasses on their face,
goggles.
Exactly, just so they won't get poked in the eye. But anyways, we've had a lot of things happen these past couple of weeks. I mean, not a crazy amount of things, but just some stuff MMA-wise in the sense of some retirements, some coming out of retirements, some really big wins for some older fighters. And there's so much happening in the MMA community. And there's some stuff coming up as well, some canceled fights, unfortunately. But that's going to happen in this sport. It's just it's just part of the game. Yeah, especially this year. It's just part of the game. But we had Anderson Silva's final fight 2 weeks ago. He took on Uriah Hall. He looked pretty good in the first round. In the first 2 rounds, he looked pretty good. He was moving forward. Yeah. Uriah Hall looked a little tentative, like he was starstruck and just like, I'm not sure exactly what I'm gonna do. And I don't know if I want to hit him or just hug him. That's how he looked in the first 2 rounds, which I assumed would happen because Uriah Hall is a very gun shy kind of fighter. He's been that way his majority of his career. It takes him 2 rounds to warm up and start getting after somebody. I don't think Uriah Hall has too many first round finishes, especially since that spinning back kick finish in the Ultimate Fighter. I think that was his last first round finish. But besides that, he's very tentative. But Anderson looked good the first 2 rounds, and he kind of dwindled off, and that father time was getting to him. He looked a little tired. He didn't look out of shape, but he just looked like he was getting tired. And back in the day, Anderson Silva probably would warm up in a round 3. I kind of feel like he dwindled down in round 3. And just seeing him speak after that too, you can kind of tell he was done. And he said something really, really that is so realistic with fighters too. I'm not a fighter, but I can understand this in a sense of, it's hard to tell a fighter you're done fighting because they know nothing else. So I feel like he definitely was in that mind state after the fight and in the emotional interview after.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard when reality hits. Some people take it better than others. And it's hard too, especially when you're somebody that's been on top, that you used to be, what the pinnacle of the sport is or being at the pinnacle of the sport is. And then just having to, and I don't think necessarily that he's lost his skill because like you mentioned in the first 2 rounds, he actually looked good. He didn't look out of shape. But, it's just at some point you got to accept, what is the reality of the situation and that, you can't really keep up with these younger guys anymore. And so you're really going to keep taking hits. Or you're really going to going through these injuries and having to train and doing it at an age plus 40, not to say that, there's so many people that still do it now, but it just looked different after the fight. Silva just looked defeated in more ways than one. He didn't just look defeated from the fight, but he looked defeated in the sense of having to accept the situation that he's in.
Yeah, and after the fight, he kind of laid down on the canvas in there and just said a prayer, and just you can tell how emotional he was. And I feel like he knew that was his last fight. Can he still compete with these guys? Yeah, he probably can. He can last those rounds. Look, he lasted 3 rounds with the middleweight champion Israel Adesanya. Like I definitely think he can still keep up with them. But does he need to? No, he's 45 years old. He has a family. He has how many kids does Anderson Silva have? 4 or 5 kids. One of them is training to fight. He's a 2-time kickboxing champion. He's coming up. So, help his kids get up there and whatever they want to do in life. And that's a good thing. I think Father Anderson Silva fully comes into play now. Not to say he wasn't a good father before. He's probably a great father, but just like fully now, and he can concentrate on that and not have his mind filled with, I'm getting ready for a fight. But I hope he finds something that he can do that will keep him still in the fight game more. I know he's training his sons, but even more than that, maybe if he wants to I know he has his own gym, but just maybe be more involved with it rather than him training himself and him training more people. Because I know how difficult that is for somebody to like not have a fight on their mind or just like go watch fights and not want to be in the cage as well. And I'm sure Anderson Silva has made plenty of money. I don't think he has a financial issue. And I know a lot of fighters have that. They want to come back because you know what? I want to make a little bit of money. But at the same time, seeing that on that Saturday, I just kept thinking to myself, like, man, how old am I? I saw George St. Pierre retire. I've seen Anderson Silva retire, Chuck Liddell retire. Oh, so many fighters I've watched over the past. Chael Sonnen, so many fighters I've watched in the past couple of years. I mean, since I started watching MMA, which is, oh my God, how old am I now? I'm 30. So I think I started at age 11. So like 19 years of just, wow, all these guys are retiring. So I kind of feel old, and then Khabib retiring, kind of, sort of, but we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that later. We'll talk about that later. But it's just weird to see. And I hope the UFC will give him some kind of position in like UFC Brazil to be kind of like an ambassador or something like that. Because I know Nogueira has some kind of position in Brazil. So that would be pretty cool. But Anderson Silva, one of the greatest fighters I've ever watched in my whole entire life. Thank you so much for the memories. If that's your final fight, hopefully one day we can have you on, interview you, talk to you. Want to hear that stuff? Hey, brother, son. Hey, I want to hear. Hey, man. Yeah, I just want to hear that voice just one time for the one time. So that'd be awesome. Maybe we'll get that set up. Nick, anything you want to say about Anderson Silva?
Yeah, man. It's kind of like what you said. It feels weird, especially. I mean, I haven't been watching MMA for as long as you have, but I started back in like 2010, and I remember like 2009, 2010. I remember that's when Anderson was sort of like at the peak, and so seeing him retire too, it was almost like, I don't know, like as we grow up. I remember growing up as a kid, I used to look at people or at athletes, and I would say like, oh, they're older than me, and look how great they are, and everything like that. And then now we're at the point where we're older than some of these athletes. And it's kind of crazy because and we're reminded of that when we see guys like Anderson Silva, or like you mentioned, Chuck Liddell, Randy Couture, all these guys, when they retire, it's sort of like a reminder, like, times are changing and we have a lot to look forward to. But it's nice to have these memories, and Anderson Silva definitely gave us a lot of those memories. So, I mean, muito obrigado, Anderson Silva, for everything you've done. Yeah, he's a legend. So, man, I think he's going to continue, whether it's like you said with his own gym, or he could be a coach or an ambassador for the UFC. Obviously, a very kind person, a great face for the sport. So I think we'll see more of him. Just hopefully not in the octagon.
Yeah, not knocked out anymore. We don't need to see that. We got enough memories. We got enough knockouts. We love you, Anderson Silva. See you soon somewhere. But speaking of older fighters that are doing it big right now, Glover Teixeira, my Lord, what a performance he put on this past Saturday against Thiago Santos. Thiago Santos was favored to win this fight, which I thought the odds were a little crazy. I get it because Thiago Santos has been on a roll. His last only loss was to John Jones in a very close fight, to where he fought basically with with no legs. With no legs, basically with no legs, lasted 5 rounds. So they thought he would come back pretty strong against Glover. Glover's actually on a 4-fight winning streak before this fight. Yeah. But when he fights those kind of powerful guys with really excellent striking, he kind of struggled a little bit, and his chin looked a little suspect. But which it actually did in this fight. He got rocked a couple times by Thiago, but he just came back and would use that grappling, which is so cool to see that Glover had at his age, because a lot of fighters over the age of 40 tend to, I'm still going to strike. I still got hands, because Glover Teixeira is known as a knockout artist. Look how he changed his style. He's like, you know what? I'm not doing this stand-up stuff anymore, because clearly it's not working for me. I'm going to take you down. I'm going to ground and pound you, and I'm going to submit you. And that's what he ended up doing to Thiago Santos. Ended up submitting him in the third round, was it? The third round, right?
Yeah.
Third or fourth round. He almost had him at the end of the second with a rear naked choke. Thiago rocked him twice, but Glover looked good, and he is now the number 1 ranked light heavyweight in the UFC rankings.
Yeah, no, I mean, it goes to show that experience can definitely outweigh energy sometimes. And especially when you use your knowledge and your experience, like you said, like some people, they accept the fact that they have to adjust their game. Other people have harder times with that because they think, that they don't have to adjust to anything. But Glover has done that. And I think that, he deserves to be where he's at on the rankings. And I think it'd be cool to see him go for a title shot. I mean, I know that's not something that perhaps would excite the masses, but I think if you deserve it and you earn it, why not? The only question is, who is he going to get it? Because like I said, unfortunately, it's not a, a very appealing matchup for everybody. And then not only that, but especially if Jan Blachowicz fights now against Adesanya, then he's going to have to wait. And then with his age at 41 years old, it's like, how much can you really wait? I mean, I know you can try to stay in shape and everything like that, but just the demands get harder as you get older. So if it was something that it could be done sooner, that'd be great. But I don't know, with Adesanya and Blachowicz fighting, I think that might hurt his chances of getting that title shot.
Yeah, I know the Adesanya fight is definitely more tastier for everybody. But here's one thing that I think about. Adesanya is a guy that fights 4 times a year, sometimes 3 times a year. I know as a champion that changes because you get bigger fights and it's more pay-per-view fights that you're going to be on. You're not going to be on smaller cards or like ESPN main event cards. But Jan said he can't fight until March. Is Adesanya going to want to wait? Or, maybe they even do the John Jones fight now and then let Glover get that title shot in March. I kind of feel bad for Glover because he's 41 years old. He's not getting any younger. The longer he waits, the older he's going to get, the more father time is going to come at him. It's going to be very difficult. So if I were in the UFC's position, I don't know. If Adesanya doesn't want to wait, give him some other kind of fight. He can fight somebody in the interim. He can fight somebody at middleweight. Yeah. They're still going to – he's a box office guy now. So you put him – I mean, not box office. He's a pay-per-view sales. He gets high pay-per-view sales. So you put him against anybody, he's still going to sell pay-per-view. So maybe give him somebody – maybe give him Robert Whittaker again, even though Dana White said Robert – yeah, even though Dana White said Robert Whittaker doesn't want that fight. No, Robert Whittaker has fought 3 times this year. He said, hey, I'm having another child, and I want to enjoy Christmas with my family. I took this fight. He took the Cannonier fight pretty fast after he beat Darren Till. I think a week after or 2, he was on for that fight. But he took that on purpose so he can enjoy this holiday with his family. He didn't say he didn't want to fight. He just want to enjoy some time. So I kind of dislike when the UFC does that and they put that out there, like that narrative. And Robert Whittaker is such a nice guy too. Why put that fake narrative out about him just to kind of antagonize him to put him into that fight? That's not nice.
Fake news.
But fake news, exactly. So I think he would.
The thing is that he didn't even get beat up that much with Cannonier, so I think that he'd be ready to fight soon enough. I know he's not going to be like next week. He's not going to be pulling off a Hamzat, but I think he'd be willing to fight Adesanya definitely and fight for the title again and try to regain that. I think that he would do that. And going back to Glover, I think that Glover, this would be really his only opportunity to get a title fight. So I don't think Jan would actually buy into it because for whatever reason, you always have that puncher's chance that Glover beats Jan Blachowicz. There goes your title fight against Adesanya. So I just feel like money-wise, it's not going to happen because of that. So as far as selling the idea of Adesanya moving up and fighting Jan Blachowicz compared to Glover, if Glover were to beat Blachowicz.
Yeah. And what are the odds that Glover gets another title shot? Because his last title shot, I believe, was 2013 or 14 against John Jones. That was 6-7 years ago. And then usually guys like that who are in their 40s don't get another title shot unless you're a Daniel Cormier. Those are the only kind of guys. But Glover is proving that he is just as like smart with his body and how he fights and he gives that longevity, to his career, to how he trains. And I always say that with these fighters and how they transition into their older age, because it's a different ball game. You got to change your style. GSP did it too. GSP started wrestling a lot more later on in his career, less damage. I think he took damage against Johnny Hendricks. That was just one person. But besides that, didn't take that much damage. That's a smart thing to do in your later half of your career. But what I was going to say, I think we were kind of talking about Robert Whittaker stuff. Robert Whittaker, he was talking about, I've been watching a couple of his interviews, and something that I'm very perplexed about is he keeps talking about weight. Robert Whittaker used to fight at welterweight at 170 pounds. He was just like, I need time to make the weight. I'm just like, how heavy are you walking around like during like your break time? Because that's crazy to me. Robert Whittaker doesn't look that big of a guy.
No,
so I'm curious to see how he looks like during this Christmas season. I'm going to be checking his Instagram a lot, because I'm always obsessed with how big fighters are, like when they're not fighting. So I guess Robert Whittaker has to cut a lot of weight to make middleweight, which is crazy to me.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and especially after Christmas and the holidays and everything. I mean, these guys are, professionals, and I'm sure they diet all year long. But of course, everybody kind of gets, a little bit lazy, a little bit laid back when that time comes around. So it'd be interesting to see like how he does look during that time. And I don't think, and like you said, like it's not like he ever looks really like pudgy, like compared to some of these fighters that when they're not fighting, it's just like, would they make the weight, kind of thing. He never really looks like he would struggle much compared to some of these other guys.
Not at all. But speaking of weight cutting, we got somebody who's got to make a pretty big weight cut this week. Paul Felder stepped in for Islam Makhachev, who is out of the fight against Rafael dos Anjos. I believe he's out of the fight because he had one of those what is that disease? It's an old disease that people don't have really often.
Pox?
It's not staph. What was it?
Pox.
Pox, yeah, pox, something like that. Small, mumps. He had the mumps, which is not too common. But apparently, I remember hearing this a month ago from Javier Mendez, who's a head coach at AKA, that all of those Dagestanian guys were like struggling with it. I believe Khabib's brother was in the hospital with it, and Islam ended up getting it himself. So he's out of the fight. And when I heard that, I think I sent that to you, and we're just like wondering who's going to step in, who can even step in. We're looking at the top 5 in the lightweight division, even the 6 through 10, and it's just like we don't know who's going to step in there. And then all of a sudden, comes out Paul Felder is stepping in to fight Rafael dos Anjos. The first thing that came to my mind is I just remember Paul Felder saying, "I walk around like 190, 195. I don't really take like last minute fights." I think his first UFC fight was a last minute fight, and that was against Danny Castillo, and he ended up knocking him out with a spin and back fist, and that was his debut in the UFC, which is pretty cool. But then the first thing I remember saying to you was just like, I just hope he's in shape. I hope he's in shape. It's going to be a bad weight cut. That's going to be rough. And then we get that picture of him, and he's in shape. He was training for a triathlon, so his weight was low. This is pretty good. Nick, are you excited for this fight? I am very excited for this fight.
I am excited for this fight because I like seeing all these guys now with the vacancy or the possible vacancy in that division. All these guys are definitely going to be, it's sort of like an American Idol type tryout for who's going to come out on top, and everybody's going to try to make their case to earn a title shot. I mean, I know that we perhaps have Poirier and McGregor, even though I don't think that's necessarily finalized. It's pretty much there, but nothing official.
It's official as a whistle. We'll talk about that too then.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yep. Good. But yeah, like I mean, I think especially with Gaethje, and it's just like it's a really stacked division. But Paul Felder, he's ranked 7th in there, and I think that this is definitely going to be an opportunity for him that he was always going to be ready to take, because now's the time to really make an impression and climb up those rankings. And as I forget what it's called, the documentary that they did for Fight Island.
I don't remember the name. I
remember him, talking about like, he wants to progress, and that's why he's even, gone to commentary and everything like that, because he doesn't know if he's going to necessarily get the opportunities to get, the biggest fights in that weight division. But now, this is really a chance for him to propel and work his way to the top, and then maybe he won't have to necessarily rely, even though I do love his commentating, he won't necessarily have to rely on that if he has a good performance and he keeps on climbing.
Yeah, and he has this is a win-win situation for him. He wins, he beats a former champion, Rafael dos Anjos. He loses, he took this fight on short notice, on 5 days' notice, and he lost. So it's okay, no matter what. It was kind of like the Jorge Masvidal situation with Kamaru
Yeah,
Usman. Same thing. It's a win-win situation. You don't lose anything here, and you make some money. You might lose a couple brain cells, you might break a bone. Lord knows, my
yeah.
God, this is the fight game. But this is a win-win situation for him. I remember him stepping in what's his face's corner. Oh, I'm forgetting his name. And we saw this in a Fight Island documentary where his
Right,
corner,
declassified. That's what it
yeah,
was.
the declassified. He lost his whole corner, and Paul Felder ended up Jared Gordon. He ended up
Jared Gordon.
being his only cornerman. He went from commentating, putting on the UFC tracksuit, and being in his corner, which was awesome. Paul Felder is
All
pretty
while
much
with a button up underneath.
yeah, with a button up underneath. So Paul Felder is basically the UFC Superman now. I think we need to give him a new nickname besides the Irish
Yeah.
Dragon. But yeah, he has nothing to lose here. I think it's going to be an amazing fight. I think it's big on him taking on 5 days' notice a 5-round fight. That must show you what shape he's in, because not many other guys would do that. They'd be like, nah, I'll do it, but like 3 rounds.
Yeah.
No, he's doing 5 rounds. And I'm just hoping, like, after this fight, I know he keeps like playing with it of the retirement thing. I hope he doesn't do that. He didn't have to spend too much time away from his family during this fight camp, which he usually does.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he takes like 2 months away from his daughter, and that just, drills him.
It kills him.
He's gone through so many things in his life with his dad. He lost his dad to pancreatic cancer, which that's very tough to see. He's such a good guy, and I hope that this is a great fight, and that he gets through that in a major way. Give me 1 second, Nick. Hold on.
Yep.
So sorry about that. I apologize. I don't know if
That's
you
all
heard
right.
that. Would you hear that in the background?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Just making sure. I thought that was super loud. What was I saying before? Yeah. So
About Paul Felder, he lost his dad, and
Yeah,
and
losing his dad.
he's had kind of a crazy story, especially like being away from his daughter when he had to go to Fight Island.
Yeah.
I think he's definitely always going to be ready for the like I said, the big opportunities, and that's why the old cliche, a picture says 1,000 words. When we saw
Yeah.
the picture that we saw of him recently, I mean, it says a lot.
Yeah, and I'm going to be doing a little feature on him today. I'm going to drop that probably after the podcast at some point today, because that man deserves it. That's big on him. And I hope that if he does win this fight, that he gets a big fight after that, because I'm tired of him being looked over, and he puts together such great performances. Big on him. Rafael dos Anjos is coming back to lightweight. This is his first fight back in lightweight since he was a champion, because he used to be champion for a little bit at lightweight. He was supposed to fight Conor McGregor at one point. He ended up getting injured, and now he's back at lightweight. We're going to see how he looks, because I remember him before the Tony Ferguson fight, and he passed out in the back after he made weight. Nobody knew that. He only revealed that after, especially UFC. He wouldn't tell him that, because they wouldn't allow him to fight. But I don't know which direction he's going in this about making the weight. I know he wanted that 165-pound division, because he's one of those guys who's kind of stuck in the middle. But we'll see what happens. But speaking of, I know Islam Makhachev is out. I think that his training partner might be back in. Khabib is apparently not done. Usually when a fighter retires, a UFC removes them from the championship ranks on their site immediately. As soon as Daniel Cormier said he was retiring, took him off. As soon as Henry Cejudo said he was retiring, took him off. You check that UFC site right now, Khabib Nurmagomedov is still the lightweight champion of the world. So his manager, Ali Abdelaziz, tweeted 30-0. So I think that Khabib's coming back. Nick, you think he's coming back? You think he wants that 30-0? And who is he going to come back against? Is it going to be GSP? Is it going to be the winner of McGregor Poirier? Is it going to be Tony Ferguson, the fight that eluded us for the longest time? Is it going to be a rematch with Justin Gaethje? What are we going to see?
I mean, if it's going to be anything, first of all, I'm not really keen on seeing this. Like, I mean, obviously, I'm always down to watch Khabib fight again, but I don't necessarily, it's crazy. I kind of don't want this. I kind of want everybody to sort of respect his decision of wanting to retire, not fight without his dad. Now, granted, if that's his personal option, his personal want of having to come back and now having let the emotions settle a little bit more, then yeah, like I like to, but the thing is that who are we really going to see? I don't want to see him against McGregor, because he just absolutely owned him. Poirier, it was a good fight, but I wouldn't want to see that again. Ferguson, I suppose, would be the most intriguing because we haven't seen him fight again. Chandler, that would be cool because it would be a new challenge for him as well. But I think if anybody's deserving of a fight with Khabib, if he were indeed to come back, it'd be Justin because Justin, he was the last one to fight him. And I suppose, like it's always good to have these rematches, give the other person a second chance. But whoever he fights, I think it's just going to go down the same way his last fights have gone. I think he does reach that 30-0 because I just don't see anybody, with the exception of Chandler, threatening him. And the only reason why I say Chandler is because he hasn't seen Chandler. Like he hasn't really been around him. He hasn't had the exposure to him compared to the other fighters like Poirier and McGregor and Ferguson. Even having never fought Ferguson, I'm sure he's a lot more familiar with his style. So I guess Chandler would be the guy, if not Gaethje, right?
Chandler would be, Chandler could be the guy. But I just remember they keep asking Khabib about Chandler, and he's just like, listen, he came from Bellator, he lost featherweight. I don't think Chandler needs to do more things to be able to fight me, which I can completely agree with that. I understand that, but I would love to see the different kind of a challenge. Michael Chandler keeps talking about the ways he would beat Khabib, how he's a better wrestler than Khabib is, et cetera, et cetera. So I would love to see it. I'm not saying no to that, but if Khabib comes back for 30-0, it's got to be his dad's promise, and that's GSP. It's got to be George St. Pierre. Sure. No title on the line, 165 pounds. So George St. Pierre doesn't have to cut to 155 because I don't think I can cut to 155. Put that at 165 pounds. Nobody loses a title. Khabib can kind of relinquish that title, the lightweight title, and just like that would be one of the biggest fights ever in UFC history. So I think they should do it. That would be the only fight I would like Khabib to come back to. I think he made the decision very emotionally when he retired this a couple weeks ago. He was crying, and he was just like, I don't think I want to do this anymore. So I think it was an emotional decision. It happens with fighters sometimes. So I think we'll see Khabib back. Maybe not in the first half of next year because he probably needs some time to find an opponent unless they get him that GSP fight, or they got to have an audience too. If it's going to be that big of a fight, they have to have some kind of audience. So depending on how the world turns. But if it's not then it'll be a year from now, kind of in October or September of next year, because he has Ramadan throughout the summer. That's not going to happen. He's not going to fight at that time. So we'll see when he comes back to. I can't hear you. Your mic shut off. Nope. If you hit the unmute button.
I accidentally. Yeah.
Okay.
Accidentally.
You're good.
But yeah, I mean, but I guess that's the thing. Would there be a title fight if he were to come back? Because if he were to come back and fight for the title, I imagine that he has to fight one of those guys that I mentioned before. Now it's for GSP, and let's say it's an exhibition match. I guess you could say, in the sense of like, it'll go towards your record, but it won't be for a title. I can see that happening more than
I don't mean exhibition. Just 100. I think official, but just 165 pounds, just a different weight. Yeah, it's but it has to go against their records. So I'm not watching any fight.
No, of course, yeah. But the thing is that would it be for a title? But then again, if you're creating this new division, I suppose that would be the inaugural title fight. I don't know. It's like I said, I'm okay with. I'm totally like if he wants it, then I respect his decision. But I just hope that this isn't, the outside influencing the inside and in sort of, just trying to pull him back when he really doesn't want to be. I respected his decision when he retired. And like I said, I don't necessarily want to see him fight again, not because I don't enjoy watching him, but I just don't feel like there's a big enough threat for him that it would be that big of a deal. Like if you bring back a legend like GSP, then yeah, fantastic. But if not, maybe Chandler would be the only one that would really grasp my attention. All the other guys, we know that they can't beat him.
Yeah. So speaking of the lightweights, Conor and Dustin are official now. I know Dustin was the only one to sign the contract the other day, but then Conor ended up signing his part of the contract, and that fight is official for January, the end of January, UFC 257. That's going to be a big one. It's going to be in Abu Dhabi for now. That's what Dana White said. Will they have a crowd? Probably not. Unfortunately, we're still at that point where we can't have big audiences. Even over there in Abu Dhabi is the last place they would do that because they're just super, super safe over there. Their numbers of COVID are very low because they don't really keep people in areas. And Yeah, and they walk around in hazmat suits and all that. So that's a whole different ballgame. Every time I say hazmat, I think of hazmat.
Yeah. I was gonna say hazmat
God, I want to
suits or
see him fight again, right? But yeah,
We
this
will,
fight is
apparently.
official.
We might.
This is part 2 of this. Their first fight went pretty quick. There was a lot of emotion in that fight, but now they're both older, more experienced. Dustin Poirier is definitely a different kind of fighter. Conor is definitely a different kind of fighter. Still has that power in his hand. Dustin Poirier has that clean boxing and better just defense of the way that he fights. I didn't think. I kind of got a little scared. I think we talked about this, that they were going to give this fight to somebody else because Poirier wanted more money. But I'm happy that he got the money that he deserves. Is the UFC making a mistake with this fight? They should have given Conor Gaethje. Should the title be on the line? What do you think, Nick?
I think it was a very awkward thing because I don't suspect that they knew necessarily that Khabib was going to retire. So I think what happens is that it created sort of this mess that it's like, well, we can't have, because it was already like in the works, right? Like Conor versus Poirier, and it was kind of like, okay, that's not going to be a title fight, but it's a fight that people want to see, so we're still going to go ahead with it. Now Khabib retires, and you have this title just relinquished, I suppose you could say, and it's like, well, why wouldn't Gaethje be the first one to get that opportunity? And I actually got worried for Dustin there for a second because I thought that they were going to say, well, you know what, Dustin wants more money, but Gaethje was the last one to fight for a title. People are going to tune in for Conor, so maybe we'll just do Gaethje and Conor, which I didn't think Conor would be necessarily deserving of. But money walks in this sport, and I felt like that's the route that they were going to go. So it's weird. I don't know what's going to happen with the title. I don't know what's going to happen with Gaethje or any of these other guys. So I don't think they'll. I don't know. I guess they'll see how this fight pans out, and then they'll know where to go next.
Yeah, we got a weird menage a trois going on there with Tony Ferguson, Justin Gaethje, and Michael Chandler. Who's going to fight who? It's 3 guys. Only 2 people can fight each other. Who's going to fight? Are they going to enter Charles Oliveira in that scene? Or if Paul Felder has a big win this Saturday, they'll probably enter him in that scene as well. So many things that can happen. I swear the UFC lightweight division is the best division there because there's just so many amazing matchups that can be made. And this one is official now, and now we got to get a couple other ones. I feel like they're going to try to do kind of a lightweight showcase on that card. That would be great.
No, that would be fantastic. I'd be so down for that. Just because, because this is the thing. If you put everybody on the same card, right, that means that your winners are going to be pretty much on the same calendar as the other winners for their next fight, right?
Yeah.
So it's almost like a March Madness kind of bracket, like it's like, okay, well, we got these 2 guys now and these 2 guys, and then it starts breaking down little by little. And I think that would be something cool. Would they actually do that? I don't think I've ever seen that before, where there was the same weight division throughout the entire card or the majority of the card.
They did that one time with the heavyweights. This was a long time ago, and they had Cain Velasquez and Antonio Silva at the top, and it was literally 5 heavyweight matchups in the whole entire card, which was incredible.
Which is insane. Yeah,
insane.
I would love to see that, especially like I said with this division, because with a vacancy on top, or a possible vacancy at least. Yeah, it'd be really cool to see these sort of, this playoff contention type setup.
Yeah, and you know what I was thinking too? I'm like, man, maybe Paul Felder should fight Charles Oliveira after. Paul Felder already beat Charles Oliveira, and I forgot about that. He finished him with elbows a couple years ago. So, I know Charles Oliveira is a different kind of fighter now, but
right,
Paul Felder did his work, man. So I don't think I think he should kind of leap over him because he's beat him before, which he probably should be ranked on top of him. But I don't know. UFC rankings are weird. But anyways, we have another fight that was official as well. Israel Adesanya against Jan Blachowicz. This is my question about this matchup. Does this ruin the potential matchup against John Jones because John Jones is now moving up to heavyweight?
I think it does because.
Or does it help?
I don't know if it. That's a good question. I don't know if it hurts.
Or one more question. Or does Israel Adesanya win that 205 belt and then move up to heavyweight to fight John Jones? 3 different scenarios.
Well, in that case, then that would help, right? Because then you have a triple title holder, and I hate to say it this early on, but I just feel that Israel Adesanya is probably the most dynamic and most powerful fighter in the UFC right now, and I honestly, there's nobody, just like the way I felt about Khabib, I don't see anybody really that can beat Adesanya. So I think that's actually a possibility. You know that like he's already the title holder in his division. He moves up and he beats Jan Blachowicz, and he gets that, and then he gets that title, and then heavyweight. I mean, I guess John Jones would have to retain the title first before he fights for that title. But I mean, I don't know what happens, man. Like, because this is another thing too. Does John Jones fight Stipe before that fight happens? And if so, how's he going to come out of that? Is he going to be able to kind of keep up with the big boys? Which we all know that John Jones can really keep up with anybody. But until we actually see it happen, it's going to be weird. Like I don't know. Like I said, there's almost like this whole, forgive me, there's this whole clusterfuck going on with potential matchups and how things go. And I think this is what happens when people don't necessarily stay within their reign. I don't blame Adesanya for wanting to move up and obviously hold a title in 2 divisions, but it's just kind of like it ruins, I suppose, the assembly line of fights that could be happening or that could happen in the future, because we have all these questions up in the air, like, well, who's more deserving? Who earned this title shot more than the other person? And then it's just weird. It's really weird. That's what you call in Spanish arroz con mango, which is basically mango with rice, which is something that not a lot of people mix.
You don't put that together.
Yeah,
I kind of want to try that.
I mean, I've never tried it, but I mean, it's true. I've never gone to a restaurant and seen it there on the menu. So it's like it's weird. It's like I said, it's just weird, but I mean, I am excited for this fight. I think Adesanya definitely can win, just because I think he's too fast, man. I think he's too fast for these heavy guys.
For sure, he's very fast, very accurate, and he's hard to hit. But like I doubted last time, that Polish power, man. If he catches Adesanya, he could.
Yeah, no. If he catches, timing is everything.
Yeah,
like McGregor said, timing beats talent. I mean, all it is about being at the right place at the right time. If he lands one of those Thor's hammers, then Adesanya's not getting up from that.
And I think Jan has been finished maybe one time in his career, and that was by Thiago Santos. So I don't think he's afraid to step in close against Adesanya. I know it's a little hard, as we found out with Paulo Costa, could not get in the inside with Israel, but that should be a very interesting matchup. I think Adesanya goes, if he wins this fight, you keep going, get to John Jones. It's like a little trail to John Jones and how to get there.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a little cookie crumb trail.
100%. And you think Adesanya is not going to say something to John Jones after he wins that title that he once held? That's the first thing he's going to do. John Jones is going to hear that, and he's going to want to fight him. And Lord knows when John Jones is going to fight next. I know he's been bulking up to get to heavyweight, which I don't think is the best idea. I think he should just fight naturally at whatever weight he walks around in, because it hurt him. And I remember when he fought against OSP, and he just looked very bulky. Made him look slow. He can't be slow in that division. He has to use his speed when he gets up to heavyweight. So I hope John is not really bulking up too much for heavyweight, but we'll see how his body looks and when he gets up there. But hopefully this fight happens in March. That's when they're scheduling it to happen. It took the UFC 5 minutes to come up with this, since Robert Whittaker didn't want to fight Israel Adesanya, which is not true, which is fake news. But hopefully this happens. But speaking of fake news and wrong and all that jazz, we had one of the biggest fights of the year this year, a heavyweight championship. Hold on, let me say this correctly. The United States Heavyweight Championship title fight happened last week. Was that last week? I don't know. This has been stringing along.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it feels like a century. Like, it's crazy. We took a week break because of it, and because of just the hot mess that it's been. It feels like it was a month ago that we last did this.
It literally seriously, and a big reason why we took that week off too was because all this was happening, and I know everybody would have their minds on that. Some people didn't want to watch. I had some friends who kept asking me, "What's happening? What's happening?" I was watching that thing.
Turn on your TV.
Right, turn the TV on and just watch it. Come on, this is like one of the most important elections ever in the history of our country, and we're alive to see it and to witness it. I didn't sleep. I didn't sleep that much. I think I slept like 3 or 4 hours, like that whole entire week, because every time there was something breaking, something was happening in some state, some city. Our state got announced. I think this is the fastest Florida has ever been announced, right?
That was one thing that relieved me. I was just like, you know what? For once, it's not us. It's not us. Nobody's going to be able to point the finger at us and say like, oh, look what you did. Like it was nice. Not at least like nobody can blame us, but yeah, man, it was intense. I remember just the first night, like I honestly, it was actually pretty cool. I had created some polls leading up to election day. And I asked people, not who do you want to win, but who do you think is going to win? Do you think that we'll have a result by before daylight the next day? And it was a lot of people voted on it. It's crazy the amount of people that voted on it. I've never gotten so many votes for any of these polls on Instagram, and it just goes to show how interested people were in this election. And like when I remember election night, I was there in bed watching it on TV, and I was up till like maybe 2 a.m. I was like, we're not gonna get a result. Like, let me just go to bed. And then it got to the point where I was like, you know what? Like, I can't just be zoned in on this, because like I need to just like check in every once in a while. I was like, all right, I wake up, I'll watch some when I'm having my breakfast. Then when I go to have lunch, I'll check in again, because it was demanding, and it was just exhausting just trying to keep up with everything that was happening, man. It was like as far as like if you followed it consistently, it was. I have a hard time articulating what it was like, but like I said, it was just exhausting for me.
Yeah, and I was very happy with Florida for them to give us that result pretty fast. I remember the first night, it was just like, we have a prediction for Florida. I'm just like, what? You have a what for, huh? There's no what is. Are you talking about another? Are you mistaking another state with Florida? There's no way. Yeah. So that was awesome to see us come in and give our results as soon as possible. Big kudos to CNN, because they were just very specific about a lot of things, especially like city wise. They were just showing you things, percentages, county wise, like where votes can come from here, how it can impact it in this section. And I kept telling people, go to CNN. They give it so well. Like I remember the Associated Press was predicting things a little early, predicting states early.
Dude, everybody was predicting. Like I think what happened with CNN too is that they definitely learned from their mistake last time around.
Yes.
And that's why they didn't call anything until it was 99.999999999999999 official, because it went down to the wire for a lot of states. And I think that they definitely didn't want to make that mistake of presuming who was going to win this election. And obviously it continues to show that it was a tight election. So yeah, kudos to them for John King, first of all, just operating that map.
The boy.
I would have messed that up so easily. I think within 2 attempts they would have fired me to try to operate that map. So it was insane, and it continues to be insane with all the charades that have come after it and everything like that. It's funny because I kind of thought to myself that, well, if you really don't count game 1, 2, 4, and 6 of the NBA Finals, the Heat won that election. Those finals. So it was kind of like it's funny, like how everything is sort of coming full circle. Like I remember the last election, obviously you have the opposite side not wanting to accept the result and finding whatever excuse they can to not do so. And now it's like the same thing is happening again, except just on the shoes on the other foot. And I find it so.
You mean the people, so not funny, the. You mean ironic. The people, not the.
Right. Yeah. No. Of course. Yeah. The people. Well, I guess like another thing too. In the last election, we didn't have to worry about any incumbents because we were going to have a new president no matter what.
Yeah,
that time.
That's right.
This one was weird. This one is. It wasn't weird. It's still weird. I've never seen it. I mean, you hear about this kind of stuff all the time, especially being Hispanic. You hear about it all the time in Central and South or Latin America in general for that, or in the Caribbean. I never thought that I would see it here. It's kind of insane.
It's weird, yeah. But I remember last time Hillary was just like, I lost. I'm good. I'm out. I lost. It's clear. I can see the first night. Remember last time? It was the first night. I remember it was super late.
She ghosted everybody too. Like it was crazy. Like, yeah. I mean, in doing so, yeah, she went ahead and she accepted the result. But I remember like, she really just disappeared, and I felt really terrible for all her supporters that night that like stayed up and were trying to like, hear something from her but yeah, like you said, at least she accepted it. And this has just been crazy. Like I said, but then again, it's a very difficult thing to do, and we see this in everyday life, not just with the presidency, but like in workplaces, when you have that power, especially being a man. It's very hard to let go of, and we're talking about possibly the most
machismo
position in the world. Like yeah, exactly, machismo. Like the most powerful position in the world. People are gonna have a hard time doing it, but nonetheless, I mean, 2 guys have done it before. Jimmy Carter and George Bush Sr. had done it before. So I think it's sort of this thing like, yeah, of course you have your right to recount things and everything like that. And if this was an election akin to one in 2000, where really it was 537 votes that separated us, I could see that. But I just feel like this is kind of, like I said, like you're drawing something out. Like, let's say things get found, it's not going to be a sufficient amount to necessarily overturn the election, in my opinion. But I mean, I guess we'll see what happens.
It's crazy how we're talking about, listen, people, your vote counts. Like, you need to go out and vote. Look how close those states were, like with Georgia, with Nevada, with Arizona, like 0.2%, 0.3%. Those numbers could have changed if a lot of people who didn't vote, because we do know some people who didn't vote, which Lord knows how many people didn't vote in this whole entire country, could have completely changed this election. That's how important voting is, people. Literally, that's how close it was. It was very close in those states. I know you look at electoral votes, it looks like a huge difference. Yes, but if you look at the specific states and how close a lot of them were, that it counts. Your vote counts
still are
much. They still are, and they're still counting, and there's still a lot of things going on. But that shows you how important this election was. That shows you how many people cared, especially the amount of votes each candidate got. Donald Trump, 72 million.
These were the most votes for any from any election. I mean, the amount of, it was like 150 million people around there that had voted. Like that's insane. So I mean, it is good to see. Like, I mean, obviously you're gonna always have people that don't vote, and that's their prerogative. Like whatever. I mean, my only thing with that is that if you don't vote, don't complain. I've said it in like the last 3 episodes. Don't be that guy or that gal that's like, oh, why is this, why is that, and then you don't do anything. It's one thing to you vote and you don't get the person that you want or the amendments that you want, but at the end of the day, at least you don't have to say, what if I had voted, because you did everything that you could, and everything that was out of your control happened, and we have to live with that. But it all starts with, like you said, going out and voting. It's so imperative, and not only that, but it's an opportunity. I know that maybe a lot of people, that they're deep into the generations that they have been in this country. But when you come from, when you're the first generation of your family, and you see some of the places that your parents or your ancestors come from, you understand that this isn't an opportunity that's presented for everybody. Even to this day, you look at other countries around the world, and they're having these struggles. I mean, look at what's happening in Belarus with their president as well. It's just something that we shouldn't take advantage of.
Here's a question I have for you, and this is going to correlate to MMA as well. Do you think it is a bad thing? I know we live in a country, America. This is a freedom of speech, of course, and I believe that wholeheartedly. But do you think it's a bad thing where it hurts a fighter's brand when they start pushing a specific political agenda, in a sense of like Jorge Masvidal? He's a fan of Donald Trump.
He's a big MAGA guy.
Big MAGA guy. He's been traveling with him. Colby Covington does that. Who knows if that's real? I don't know about the Colby Covington thing. I don't know. That might just be a playing off of something. But like Jorge Masvidal, it's literally right. Next time, Usman. But the way Jorge Masvidal has been, he's actually going out there. He's speaking. He's campaigning with him. A whole different story. He's actually telling his beliefs and why he's voting for this person. Do you think it hurts a fighter's brand when they start speaking politically, or should they just be able to speak about that without it hurting their brand?
I think, whether it hurts their brand or not, that's not up to me. That's up to the sponsors, right? That's up to, look, you say something that's controversial, and our company can't take a hit like that. I mean, you look at what happened with Daryl Morey and with the Rockets, and obviously what happened with China. Like, sometimes, unfortunately, money is what motivates, and you're not always going to be allowed those opportunities. I think that if you don't have a problem taking a personal hit, then by all means. Some people value what their beliefs over money, which I think is a very important thing too. You might not necessarily agree with it. I know that sometimes also too, the things that people say are a bit asinine, but that's the funny thing about liberty. It's like you kind of have to have everything or nothing. And I think it's going to hurt their brands and everything like that. But at the same time, you also got to realize that those people, just like there's a crowd that has a distaste for whatever they're proposing, there's going to be a crowd that get behind them as well. Whether that's Jorge or Colby or any fighter in this game. I don't think I've always liked Dana's approach to we're not going to censor anybody. I know that people are going to be offended by it and everything like that. But like I said, you have to be cookie cutter with it. You can't just apply that to somebody because of their political beliefs. And then you have your cash cow, Conor McGregor, making fun of Khabib's family and his wife and his, saying atrocious things because of his religion, because of, you can't say like, Kobe, tone it down, and then Conor let him do his thing. So unfortunately, it comes with the territory. If you're somebody that's easily offended, like not McGregor, like Masvidal said, like if it bothers you, go watch soccer or something like that, But I think it's not an easy question. I mean, it's not an easy answer, I guess, to say. Like it's up to the person. Some people believe in something so strongly. I'll give an example. In soccer, you have this guy Mesut Özil who plays for Arsenal, which is a massive club, and he's actually called out China about the ongoing, I guess you could say, genocide and educational camps that are going on with these regional Muslims in China, and all of a sudden he's not playing. It's not because he's not a good player or anything like that. He's a phenomenal player, but the club can't take a financial hit from all their Chinese viewers, right? So, but to him, that doesn't matter. He doesn't care about play time as much as he does speaking his beliefs and standing up for what he thinks is most important to him. So it all depends on who you are and what your priorities are too.
Yeah, I kind of, my thought process on that is do whatever you want, speak about whoever you want, as long as you're actually doing it and it's not some kind of gimmick like Colby Covington. That's fine. Speak in whatever facet that you want. But this is where I have an issue, and this is with the current president right now, and kind of making it a little dangerous in a sense of like, if you agree, I don't know if you agree with me, he lost. I think he lost. He lost.
Yeah, no,
he
of
lost
course. Yeah, it's pretty obvious. That's why I said it's just like the Heat. I can't be here saying like I can make up all the excuses all I want. I can say that, oh well, the Heat were injured and the refs wanted this and the NBA wanted this because Kobe passed away and the Lakers are going to win. But all that we all know at the end of the day, it's just gas bagging.
Yeah,
it's not
exactly
what's official.
And it kind of makes it dangerous in the sense of like he's tweeting a lot and saying, "Oh, voter fraud. No, this I saw them throw away this." Literally reposted a video that was completely fake and not even like a person that was counting votes. And then you have Jorge Masvidal literally retweeting and saying the same exact things that he's saying, and he has a certain amount of fans. And you're just like kind of riling so many people up to believe these things that are not real, which is crazy to me. Like this, just to see that. I don't know. That's like it's almost cult following kind of thing. It's like creating a cult. It's like creating a cult to make people believe things that are not real. So it kind of makes that dangerous. And I hate to see somebody like Jorge Masvidal repeatedly just keep saying these things. Like, listen, like I don't believe in just like, oh, you're a fighter, that's it, just fight. No, but at least be correct with your information. And he's a guy who's been very honest in his whole entire career about things that he does, things that he says, and how he's going to go about his things. So I hate to see things like that happen with some kind of fighters. And Eddie Alvarez too was just speaking in a bad tone, and it's kind of like distasteful. It's like, why are you speaking this way? Just talk about how you feel about something and stop rambling on and just continuing. That's why I feel it becomes an issue, and it kind of makes things dangerous in this sense. I hope that hopefully within this week or next week we have a peaceful. He just concedes. Then we start making that transition into the next president, who I hope can follow up on everything, on that he can follow up on. Don't hold my breath on if that happens, right? That hopefully can say the things that he wants to do, do the things that he's been saying, and kind of help with this pandemic and certain things that are very important going forward, because it's a lot of things have been a mess in whatever fashion that people believe in. I just hope that we have better. I just hope we have a better year next year. There's no way we can start this year the way we started start next year the way we started this year with like a Kobe Bryant death and all that stuff. We got to kind of progress up and going forward. I don't think it can get worse in this, and I hope it doesn't. So that's my whole like post-election thoughts of everything. It was very it wasn't. I don't think it was controversial. I think it was controversial maybe in their debates and how they went about things, but I think it was pretty clear cut who won, what happened. We got to carry on. We got to move on. There's other things that need to be solved. A lot of problems that we need to take care of. So. And hopefully next election-wise in 2024, we don't have these things happen. We have a clean election. We have maybe even third party, because people keep complaining about those things. I don't know. They want to do that, but everybody votes even more in 2024. I don't know.
Well, a couple of things for the people that, I guess, so I don't forget about it. For the people who always talk about like a multi-party system, ask the Egyptians how that went for them in 2013 for the Arab Spring. They finally had a democracy where they can vote for their president, and the president, he got the majority of the vote, but the majority of the vote was 33%. So imagine having a country where at least here it's like half and half. So imagine that like the guy who won the votes only got 1/3 of the population. So there's that. Secondly, I think something that's what's dangerous is what's happening is that I feel that patriotism is revolving around a person rather than a nation, and I think that's essentially what happens with people like Jorge, and a lot of other people that are fans of this current administration. I'm not to say that those people are bad people or anything like that, because people believe what they believe because of the experiences that they've had in their life, because of where they come from. Who they are, and you're always going to have, unfortunately, sometimes whether they're genuine or not, you're always going to have politicians pretend like they care, and whether they're disingenuous or genuine with their intentions, that's it depends on the person. But you're always going to have, and I'm not just saying this about our current president, you're always going to have people who but sort of rally up their emotions about things that they don't like the most. And then obviously with that passion, it's going to build up, and that's why you're going to build this sort of fanfare with a person, and you're going to identify with a person. And I just think that it's important for us that we don't ever do that. This isn't a Republican or a Democrat thing. This is an American thing. This is a public official. It doesn't matter if they're Republican or Democrat. Our patriotism, I feel, should revolve around our country, not a person. And no matter who you are,
party,
or a party, exactly. Because that's another thing too that really annoys me, is that people, people always, you could put a chimpanzee, and as long as it's the party of the people's choice, they're going to vote for that person. And I think that people need to stop doing that. Don't identify with the party. Don't identify with the politician. Identify that with your beliefs, with your experiences, what's your priority, and then choose the person, not the party, that you feel is best going to reflect that. And yeah, it's just really, I never thought that I would see that here, and it's kind of crazy. But like anything, we have to things aren't going to go our way. Maybe it's because we live in a participation trophy society now, that if we don't get what we want, we just pout as much as we want, and then we get what we want ultimately. But that's not life. Life is unfair. For those that haven't realized it yet, life is unfair, and you're not always going to get what you want. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be worse for you. If anything, it's going to be better for you, because it's going to help you evolve as a person. But that being said, like I said, I just think that we need to focus back on revolving our patriotism around a nation and not an individual.
Agreed on that 100%. And I like that Joe Biden say that I'm not here for Democrats and Republicans. I'm here for America, and that's right. And I haven't heard that in such a long time. Seriously. So good to hear.
It was refreshing.
Oh, you broke up on that last part. You broke up.
I was saying that it was. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. Okay. No, I was just saying that it was kind of refreshing to hear that sort of unifying rhetoric. I haven't heard that in quite some time.
Or even just to hear, hello, my fellow Americans. It's like, oh my God, is that me? Am I American? Wow. I haven't heard that in such a long time.
I'm included in that as well.
Right? Me? No, I thought it was a Haitian guy from me. But anyways, that was that championship fight. But hopefully better things going down the road. We have some fights this Saturday. Yeah. We got that Dos Anjos and Felder fight. We got a Bellator card tonight, which is a featherweight Grand Prix. That's going to be pretty good. That's going to be on CBS Sports. They usually have the prelims on YouTube. You can watch for free. We do have the flyweight championship coming up soon. That's going to be next weekend. We'll preview that next week. That's going to be Davison Figueiredo against Alex Perez, and Valentino Shevchenko against Jennifer Maia. Those are going to be some pretty good matchups, and that card's pretty good as well. We'll break down that for you next week. Of course, other things will develop. We appreciate you guys again for joining us. Of course, you know what to do. You see it down there. Hit that button. Hit that subscribe button. Follow the Instagram, Mr. Black MMA.
I got it right.
You got it right this time. It's there.
I actually pointed the first time. I hesitated there for a second.
We'll see you guys next week. Join us right here, Mystic Hour, episode 15. We are